AskReddit, buy him a potato, deal with it. Dart. How did you almost die? I backtalked to my mom but she didn't hear me, so I changed my answer. She heard you. She gave you a second chance at life. Had 2 strokes in high school and in 2019 I had double pneumonia and a blood clot near my heart. Wow. Where to start? Almost drowned at a Rimka pool when I was 6. Fell 300 foot slipping off an embankment at 8. Mom stabbed me in the cheek just a few weeks after. Broke my neck during my backyard wrestling days. Survived cancer twice. 2 tours in Afghanistan. Trying to maintain a healthy relationship with my girlfriend. You know, the usual things. That first death hit a bit close to home. I got bounced off a flight that ended up crashing and there were no survivors. I had already hated flying and this made it much worse. A tragedy that the plane crashed. You obviously already know you were very lucky, and I can fully understand if you never want to get on a plane again. Well, I ate my poop in the womb and sadly they got me out in time to revive me. I make the joke to my mom that I have been suicidal since day one. OG shit eater. Adult tonsillectomy. Removed scar tissue clear down to my carotid and had a bleed a couple days later. I lost over 2 quarts of blood in a couple minutes drive to the ER. Passed out from blood loss and woke up hours later full of IVs. This same thing happened to my friend. It was terrifying. I remember going to his house to visit him while he was recovering and he was getting out of the shower and he looked like a bag of bones. My uncle dropped me off his motorcycle on the end of the street that his house was on in India. He said to never look at any of the cows or bulls straight in their eyes when I'm walking back, and he drove off. So of course 13-year-old me death stares a bull in its eyes. And the thing starts chasing after me and I'm sprinting my ass off in flip-flops and somehow managed to slip into the gates of their house. You could hear me screaming for my grandma and then a loud bang of the horns of that bull hitting like the side of the gate. Mayo. Have literally never been so close to getting absolutely annihilated. Lmfeo. For some reason, this one terrifies me the most. On my way to work on my bicycle. Driver blew the red light on a turn lane in hopes to beat traffic and didn't see me. I got knocked pretty good but I screamed, "Dude, stop," and had the living wind knocked out of me. I couldn't get up for more than 30 minutes and was in huge pain. I've made a full recovery and I'm still dealing with insurance, but I'm happy to be alive. My family reached out and are helping me get my life together. Tell everyone you love them often. Suicide, and luckily I'm a failure at most everything. That was over 30 years ago. I'm glad you are still here. You are loved. I had 2 potentially fatal medical emergencies within 18 months of each other. First one was when I was 23 and 15 weeks pregnant. I just felt off. Heart was constantly racing. My chest felt constricted, like my bra was too tight. I went to the ER, but because I was otherwise healthy and fit, and lab work was normal, they planned to discharge me. I refused to leave, insisting something felt wrong. So they did a CT. Lo and behold, I had 2 blood clots in my right lung. Spent a week in the hospital and felt like shit for months. On top of being pregnant. Second one was a ruptured ectopic pregnancy. I didn't know I was pregnant. It was the most horrific pain leading up to the rupture. I literally felt a pop in my abdomen, and immediately felt better. But later in the day, I had that nagging feeling that something was wrong. Went to the ER and ended up in emergency surgery to stop the internal bleeding. Dang, girl, you dodged 2 truly medical emergencies that could be fatal had you waited longer. You didn't ignore your gut feeling and came out alive, twice. Near-death car crash experience when a truck brake check in front of me and another car behind is chasing me quickly from behind at the same lane. My instructor told me to keep even more distance to the car in front of me if someone behind you is tailgating, since you absolutely need to provide room for them to stop before they hit you. He also applied a 2-second rule, meaning to keep those ahead of you away for at least 2 seconds. Use a mark on the side of the road when they reach if and count to 3, since when you start counting at 1, not a second has passed yet. Before anyone explodes, I'm not saying accidents don't happen, but most people are very unaware of how fast you're going and how much room you truly need to come to a full stop. For example, at 100 km per hour 60 miles per hour you travel 28 meters per second, or 30 yards, and most don't actively brake a full second due to reaction times. Which time? The first time or the accidental one? 1. My dad beat me to near death. 2. I almost drowned when I was 12, couldn't swim and was showing off. 3. My dad buried me alive, my sisters dug me out of the ground. 4. My dad did drown me, my mom gave me CPR, broke 4 ribs. 5. My dad hung me from a noose from my childhood wooden swing set. My sister cut me down and got me breathing again. 6. My dad beat me almost to death again. 7. I sat in a bathtub with an HKVP9 in my mouth. The police broke in my door and stopped me. Life can be hard. I almost gave up. I wouldn't normally say this, but I hope your dad's cold in the ground now. What a wacko. A shooting. I nearly put my head out into gunfire. Still haunts me to this day. Happened while on the job. I can't imagine the intrusive thoughts this would cause. Interaction between pharmacy prescription and NyQuil. I watched my lifeless body from an outside perspective get resuscitated by EMT in my apartment living room when I was 20. As I stood there watching myself, I was trying to wrap my head around what was going on. I wanted to go back to my body so badly. I kept saying I didn't want to leave, and slowly woke up in a daze. I couldn't walk or speak. The firefighters carried me down 4 flights of stairs, taking me off to the ER. Left in a white room until I was finally back in the reality I love so much. Out-of-body experience was unnerving, to say the least. Always check drug interactions before taking store-bought medicine with prescriptions. Almost drowned several times. Do you know how to swim at least? In April 2015 I was hiking Everest Base Camp. I was 25 and we were one day away from reaching base camp. We just finished a steep, rocky ascent and reached a flat area surrounded by tall mountains, of course. That's exactly when the earthquake hit. I guess I technically didn't almost die, but if we stayed at the tea house even 5 minutes longer before starting that ascent, the odds of surviving that rocky steep trail without serious injury would have been slim with the earth shaking as it was. I couldn't even stand upright on the flat ground I was on. Not to mention all the avalanches that were set off due to the quake. I still can't believe it all wasn't a weird dream. I thought I could walk on water by putting armbands, water wings, around my ankles. I could not. Luckily my brother pulled me out. Drowning is weird. I distinctly remember thrashing, getting tired, inhaling water, thrashing some more, stopping, thrashing one more time, thinking oh shit, then being dragged out by my hair. Thanks bro. Every night when I sleep, stop breathing. Sleep apnea is one hell of a killer. Low-key this is a major concern and probably one of the greatest silent killers out there. As someone with OSA myself, my CPAP machine has probably literally saved my life more than once, especially on drunken nights. It's such a key component of my life now that I legit don't think I could sleep without it. The very thought terrifies me. It's really all about the weakening of the heart and the lack of oxygen in your blood. Without treating sleep apnea, we're all literally a ticking heart attack waiting to happen. If you don't have a CPAP already, get it yesterday. Game changer. Save yourself and take your life back. As corny as that sounds, I promise you it'll be worth it. Best of luck. The first time, my bio father threw me into the pool when I couldn't swim. I don't think the real reason was to teach me how to swim, especially considering his prior bad treatment of me. The second time was when I tried to do something very bad to myself on purpose, if you catch my drift. I'm glad you are still here, and I'm sorry about your dad. I've had roughly 24 surgeries throughout my life, some of which were way riskier than others. 2 different times I had a blood clot in my lung about a year apart from each other. Drove to the hospital both times by myself, hunched over the steering wheel, barely able to breathe, and walked right into the emergency room. First time they didn't test to see if there was anything wrong other than the blood clot. So I didn't have to keep taking blood thinners as far as I knew. Stopped taking the blood thinners and it happened again. Now I'm on them for life. I almost died because I'm a woman. When you're a woman and you tell a doctor something is wrong, they assume you're exaggerating it. I dealt with cardiac asthma for 4 weeks while my doctor told me I probably just caught COVID. One night that cardiac asthma dislocated my rib and landed me in the ER, and that's how I found out I had severe preeclampsia, to the point they didn't even give me 3 hours before they delivered my baby. My blood pressure was so high I could have had a stroke. My original doctor still never admitted he was wrong and should have listened to me. It did permanent damage to my heart. Oh, and every COVID test was negative. I bet every woman in the world could post here and say it's because a DR didn't take us seriously as a way we almost died, and yet no one still would fix our healthcare system. It sucks so bad. During childbirth. I hope you and your little one are doing well now. My parents are abusive, and before I moved out my dad beat the crap out of me and tried to strangle me. He beat me to the ground and then squeezed my neck till I passed out. I remember waking up on the floor and my parents still yelling like nothing happened. I'm so sorry you had to experience abuse from the people who were meant to love and cherish and protect you.